It was a paradise in the jungle, a place where people thought they had escaped the evils of the world. But what they didn't know was that they had walked right into the mouth of a monster. Jim Jones, the man who promised equality and utopia, led over 900 of his followers to their deaths in one of the most horrifying mass murders in modern history. How did it happen? Why did so many innocent people trust him with their lives? This is the shocking, tragic story of Jonestown, a visionary or a madman. In the beginning, Jim Jones wasn't just any preacher. He was a visionary. He promised racial equality, social justice, and a world free from the corrupt politics of the time. He gained power by speaking directly to the most vulnerable people, those oppressed by society. He promised hope to the poor and disenfranchised, particularly African Americans in San Francisco. He was the kind of leader who knew how to manipulate emotions. And soon he wasn't just a preacher, he was a political powerhouse. Local politicians, activists, and even celebrities were on his side. But behind his smiles and speeches, Jones was building an empire of control. His goal, to own their minds, their bodies, and even their lives. Jonestown, a utopian dream or a hell on earth? Jim Jones promised his followers that he was building a utopia, a perfect society, far away from the corruption of the Western world. Jonestown, in the jungles of Guyana, seemed like the answer. But what they found wasn't freedom. It was a nightmare. The paradise they envisioned was a prison. No one could leave. Jones controlled every aspect of their lives. He forced them to work grueling hours in the jungle, fed them meager rations, and kept them in a constant state of fear. But worse of all, he didn't just control their actions. He controlled their minds. He convinced them that they were part of something greater, that the world was about to collapse, and they were the only ones who could survive it. And when they questioned him, he made sure they understood they could never handle the true cost of their freedom, their lives. The white nights, fear, and paranoia take over. If you've ever been caught in a nightmare you couldn't wake up from, you can understand what these people felt during the white nights. Jim Jones would gather his followers under the guise of preparing them for an impending attack. He would scream about an enemy coming to destroy them. Hours of terrifying rants would leave everyone on edge, exhausted, and mentally broken. The worst part? It wasn't just an emergency drill, it was mental torture. Jones had created a state of paranoia, making his followers believe that they were always one step away from death. He told them that if they didn't remain loyal to him, they would all die. It was during these drills that he began to condition his followers to be ready for the ultimate sacrifice. The massacre, from paradise to mass murder. But what happened next would go down in history as one of the darkest days of the 20th century. In November 1978, a brave congressman named Leo Ryan decided to investigate the allegations of abuse and control in Jonestown. Ryan didn't believe the lies Jones had been spinning. He was determined to expose the truth. As he entered Jonestown, things started to unravel. A handful of people handed him notes, begging to escape. The facade of a perfect community began to crack. Jones knew it was over, and he had one last act of terror to perform. When Ryan and his group attempted to leave, they were ambushed. Ryan was shot and killed, along with several others. This was just the beginning. A killing frenzy, the final betrayal. Back in Jonestown, Jim Jones made a chilling announcement. His followers were going to die, and he had a horrific plan to make sure no one could escape. Jones ordered over 900 people to drink cyanide-laced Flavor Aid. Yes, it wasn't even Kool-Aid, but the horror was the same. Some drank willingly, trusting their father until the very end. Others were forced at gunpoint, their lives ripped away from them by the man they had followed blindly. Children, babies, even the elderly, no one was spared. Those who hesitated were forcibly injected or shot, and the death toll continued to rise. This wasn't a mass suicide, it was a mass murder, and it shattered any illusion that Jones was a man with good intentions. The massacre was his final act of control, and he even took his own life in the end, too proud to let anyone else kill him. The shocking truth: it wasn't suicide for years. The world believed the story of Jonestown was one of mass suicide, a tragic cult gone wrong. But that narrative was a lie. The survivors, the brave few who escaped, spoke out and revealed the horrifying truth. Deborah Layton, a former member of the People's Temple, declared, "Nobody committed suicide at Jonestown. It was a massacre." And she was right. The survivors shared their stories, how they were forced to kill, how thousands of children were coerced into drinking the poison, and how the world ignored the signs until it was too late. The money trail: power, wealth, and corruption. But behind the tragedy, there was a chilling truth. Jim Jones wasn't just after control, he was after money, power, and international influence. The People's Temple was worth millions, money that Jones used to bribe officials, build an empire, and even make connections with the Soviets. He didn't just want to change the world, he wanted to own it. His bank accounts, filled with cash, were his way of cementing his control over not just his followers, but the entire global stage. The truth is, Jones wasn't just a religious leader, he was a manipulative, power-hungry sociopath who used his ideology to manipulate and exploit those who trusted him. The Forgotten Massacre, Georgetown. While the world focused on the tragedy at Jonestown, another massacre was unfolding in Georgetown. Jones had ordered his loyal followers to kill themselves at the People's Temple's headquarters in the capital. One of the most chilling stories comes from Sharon Amos, who followed Jones's orders to carry out a gruesome act on her own children. She believed in Jones so much that she chose to end their lives rather than question him. But in a twist of fate, one child survived, and in doing so, she became a symbol of resilience in the face of darkness. Jonestown's legacy, a tragedy of power and deception. The Jonestown Massacre is a tale of deception, manipulation, and unchecked power. Jim Jones didn't just steal lives, he stole people's minds. Over 900 innocent souls were lost that day, and the world was forever changed. But the story of Jonestown isn't just about the lives lost. It's a warning about the dangers of blind faith, the toxic allure of charismatic leaders, and the power of fear to control us. If you think you've heard the full story of Jonestown, think again. This was no accident. It was a masterpiece of manipulation that ended in tragedy. If this story shocked you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. What do you think was the true motivation behind Jim Jones's actions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, never stop questioning, because sometimes the truth is far darker than we could ever imagine.